So, looking forward to making some change, huh? Change can be difficult one way or another, whether you're looking forward to the change that you're going to make or whether or not you are doing it out of necessity. Change can have its challenges to get going, correct? Yep, we all have had to make some changes in our life, and I am just here to give you my 4 basic steps that help kind of get the ball rolling, make it a little bit easier process. I've seen it work for myself, and it's worked for many of my clients. Hi, I'm Pennie, the Accountability Queen. I'm a fitness trainer and nutrition guidance coach of over 20 years. In my time, I've helped many people remain accountable to the goals that they set, and I'm here to help you with change today. So my first step is actually after you've identified what change needs to be made, you make the decision. You make a clear and concise decision. That's step 1. Now, it might sound simple. It might sound like such an easy thing. Like, of course, I need to make the decision to change. But you've only identified when you've said, okay, this is the change I need to make. That's just identifying the change that needs to be made in your life. Whether it's, I need to lose some weight to get healthy. I need to make a move with my job or business. But to actually begin that process, sometimes just we want to dig our heels in. So what I have found has worked so well is to take some time with the decision itself. So once you've made a clear and concise decision, for instance, I'm going to give you a for instance on this number 1 point. For me, it was years ago getting rid of sugar addiction in my life. I had to make the decision to cut sugar, and I was addicted to it. If you can be addicted to sugar, it was me. I loved soda. I had to have one by 9 a.m. or I had a headache. I mean, I could go on and on about that, and I'll tell that story some other time. But to make the decision sounds so simple. And it honestly is simple, but not when you let it mull around in your mind for a while. You let it resonate with you. You give it some time. You give it a few days. You give it a week. You give it 2 weeks, possibly 3. Just depends on who you are and how big this decision is that you have to make change on. So for me, it was, okay, I need to make the decision to get rid of sugar in my life. And I am not going to eat it anymore except for on occasion, maybe some dessert or during a celebration. And that for me was difficult to swallow. I didn't want to get rid of sugar in my life, but I knew out of necessity I needed to get rid of it. So for me to make the decision first and foremost, it was like, okay, I was letting my brain know I'm making this decision to make this change. And once I gave it some time to go through the process of what that was going to be like, visualize what life was going to be like, the sacrifices I was going to have to make, the change in my meal plan and how I was going to do things, I had to really allow that to settle in. And once you take that time to really make the decision and tell your brain, I've made the decision to, and this is what I'm going to have to face. This is the worst case scenario. This is how it's going to feel. I'm not going to like every bit of it. Accept the good and bad about it. Let your brain accept the good and bad about it. You're not just making the decision and going after it. And man, I'm a pretty determined person, so that's usually how I tackle things. But in this case, when you really want that change to happen, you've got to give it some time to get used to what life's going to be like once you're on the other side of that change. You've got to visualize that. And the second step, right after making the decision and you kind of get yourself used to it and you start to see yourself without or with whatever it is that you're making the change on, is to believe. I know that sounds simple too, but you have to have undying belief that you can be on the other side of that change, because you can. Whatever it is, I don't care if it's 100 or more pounds you have to lose, you can be on the other side of that. It's just whether or not you're willing to put in the work to do it. So believing in yourself and knowing that the challenges will be there and the sacrifices will be there is huge. You've got to take the time to really let it resonate. Do I have faith in myself? Have I wavered on that in the past when I've failed at making this change before? Is that what stopped me? And understanding that, believing in the fact that you can overcome, because you can overcome. You can fully overcome anything you set your mind to, just about. Not entirely, and I give my faith to God, so I know He strengthens me in my processes of changing in my life. Now, step 3 is to have undying determination. Now, that being said, back up to the beginning, normally in the past, before I kind of figured out this process, I would just be determined. I was young, be determined, run at something, and I'm just going to do it, right? Yeah, I'm going to get this done and that done. And there were times you could do that, obviously. But to really make lasting change, you've got to start with the first 2. And you've got to let those settle in. You need to write out, why do you believe in yourself? How do you know you can get on the other side of this change? You have to understand you can fully be on the other side of this change, but that belief has to be there. The decision has to have been made, and then that determination that you typically would have in the beginning once you just kind of identify what change needs to happen, and then you go determined, running after it. This is the time, after those 2 first steps, that you need to have that undying determination to keep at it when the going gets tough, to understand the sacrifices are going to have to be made to get you to the other side of that change. What does that other side of that change look like to you? Is it exciting? Is it fun? Is it thrilling? Is it a new lease on life? Is it something you're willing to work for? So once you have identified these, we have step number 4. The 4th and final thing is to be accountable, to take accountability for the actions you need to now take to get to the other side of the change. You can't rely on anyone else to do it for you. You can't rely on anyone else to be there for you through it. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be. It's just you've got to make this solid decision for you and you alone, and then have that belief that you can overcome, and then the undying determination that catapults you into being accountable for the actions that are going to need to take place to get you on the other side of that change. Once you stay accountable, even through the pitfalls that you already foresee when you're kind of mulling around the decision in the first place, there's going to be sacrifices that have to be made. There's going to be things you don't like about it. There's going to be worst case scenario situations. There's going to be times you probably fall off of the whole thing. But the quicker you get back on, the quicker you get to the other side of that change. So those are my 4 steps that have helped me in overcoming situations in my life that I honestly didn't think I could. Of course, I give it up to God and I pray through the hard stuff, through the sacrifices, through the times that the things and the parts that are so, trying. That gets me through, that gets a bunch of my clients through the process of it. But it's got to start somewhere, and these 4 steps I hope help you out. I hope you can utilize this information, and I hope you join me again. I believe you can make the change you're looking to make. Again, my name is Pennie, the Accountability Queen. If you like the content, you need motivation, encouragement, inspiration, and mindset help along the way in your journey, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you again. Until next time, take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.